All right, so the banners are out for Yoimiya, and they're out for the weapon banner. Let's go ahead and go into them real quick and talk about them. So first off, we have the Yoimiya banner, which is probably the most brutally mean banner to put for every player that's going to be skipping Yoimiya in the entire game. But for every Yoimiya enjoyer, it is literally the most mad lad banner. We got Benny Boy, Yunjun, and Jin Yang. I mean, Jin Yang obviously is very, very bad as a character. If you've been playing the game for a while, you know that. She's really cool in the story. I really like the storyline with Jin Yang in the Summer Islands. That was probably one of the best ones. It was so wholesome. And I get this whole new experience where I actually appreciate Jin Yang as a character. But like, as far as like combat, not really, no. She doesn't cut the cake. All right, Yunjin. We're going to be talking about her, and I'm going to be talking her in sequence with Yoimiya, and we'll also be talking about Bennett and best stuff for them on this banner, and we'll also be talking about Yoimiya. So first off, Yunjin. I actually crowned my Yunjin on my my free-to-play account. I ended up getting random constellations on her original banner. I ended up like getting some stuff with her, and I ended up getting like C1 or 2 on her original banner with Ayato, and then over time, I've actually gotten C3 and C4 off random banners. On this particular banner, I probably will summon a bit to try to get C5 and 6 for Yunjin, because these constellations are really good. Now, as far as the constellation overall goes, C1 is kind of cool, not necessary at all. C2 is pretty neat. It's probably the best constellation for early on build, and then C3 is the one that of course boosts her elemental burst, which is really good. So if you get up to C3, that's pretty much max potential of what you can really get out of Yunjin as far as like the damage increases go, until you get to C4, which does increase the defense by 20%, but C3 is really like where it starts like peaking out before the bell curve kind of falls off. C5 is not really helpful because the counter is so strong, and I'll be going into that in a little bit. And of course, C6 is a 12% normal attack speed increase, which is awesome. So for a character like Yoimiya or Ayato, Yunjin is an incredible character, and the build for her is really simple. The constellations for her are awesome, and the build, if you want to know, is just basically just raw defense percentage, crit rate, as well as energy recharge. You want to be focused on heavily on defense as much as possible on all parts of her kit, which is a really easy thing to build for on the new defense set. You can use an energy recharge sands as a replacement if you were running Kitty Light on energy recharge, but the best weapon for her is going to be the Favonius Lance. Now, the Favonius Lance, I've been leveling up my second Favonius Lance on my my Asia server account, and my free-to-play account, I still only have R1. So it's the only weapon that you can actually use on her. A lot of people ask about Deathmatch, which does have a defense percentage bonus, but the problem is this weapon actually will be boosting defense if you're on field, not off field. So it's not really like a super good off field support or sub DPS weapon. It's more than an on-field weapon. So Favonius is really the only option. Trying to use any other weapon in the game for her, it doesn't really help because she doesn't scale off attack really. She doesn't scale off elemental burst damage, etc. So she doesn't have any other weapons that really work at all. So the Favonius Lance is your only option because there's no sacrificial spear to get you any extra energy. Yunjin is a very energy hungry character because her elemental burst cost is at 60, so she does have some issues with elemental burst, and seeing how the elemental skill is kind of like a mixed bag of getting energy particles, she does have some issues, and I do find her to be a very, very strong supporting character for any normal attacker. As far as Bennett goes, I keep getting asked about this. Should you Constellation 6 Bennett? Okay, C1 is his best constellation for a lot of people that really like Bennett. It's a huge boost when from C0. But C5 and C1 are very, very similar. C2 is probably my favorite constellation because of the extra energy recharge and potential to use Bennett. And just over C6, just really briefly, yes, this is worth it unless you main one of 3 characters. The first character being, of course, Ayaka. If you're an Ayaka main, you can't really yet utilize the Bennett C6 buff because it'll transfer your damage to Pyro and overwrites your buff. The second character being Keqing, and Keqing being a physical attacker or an electro attacker will be overwritten when using Bennett inside their buff, and that does cause some problems with creating overloads, etc. So those 2 characters in particular do suffer from this boost. The last character, surprisingly, is just Razor. A lot of people ask about Eula and Razor together. Eula does have some normal attacks, but you don't really lose a lot of damage on your normal attacks because you like get supplanted with a little bit of melting with your elemental skill. So it doesn't really even hurt that much to have pyro damage on your auto attacks. And if you're going for like a C6 Eula build, a lot of people actually prefer to have the pyro damage switch over on the auto attacks because it lowers your damage so that you can get more hits in. and that allows you to get the enemy lower, which allows for other procs to happen, like Wolf Gravestone proc, etc., and then get the bigger nukes. So lowering the auto attack damage to boost the nuke damage is something that you could do and is positive for that. But the other 3 characters, if you're wanting to main one of those 3 characters that I mentioned, then this is not for you. For every other character that you would main in Genshin, it's just totally fine. And then for future characters, the amount of normal attackers in Genshin and charge attackers in Genshin that would not use the pyro damage bonus from Bennett, this is solid for a lot of people, but the amount of characters that come out that this is bad for is so few and far between, and it's only bad in like really weird situations. So the 15% pyro damage bonus is also kind of like misquoted here. It actually boosts 15% pyro for everyone, and it actually just transfers the elemental damage for sword, Claymore, and polearm. So on my Yoimiya teams or your Yoimiya or Klee teams, you will get a 15% pyro damage bonus as well, which will help for like snapshotting bonuses, etc. if you're going to be using Zhengling. All right, and looking at the weapon banner, this weapon banner is probably the most horrendous weapon banner I've seen for pretty much everybody, except for maybe a Ganyu main that didn't get a 5-star weapon yet. So the 4-star weapons that are on this banner are going to be the Alley weapons. We got the Alley Hunter, which is insanely good for Ganyu, and pretty decent for like Fischl and what's her face, and future characters. It's got attack percentage and some elemental percentage damage, pretty good. Wine and Song's dog shit. Flute is dog shit. Dragon's Mane's only good for Hu Tao if you don't have a 5-star weapon, and Sacrificial Greatsword sucks. So pretty much 4 of the weapons in this banner kind of suck. 1 is okay. And as far as the Summit Shaper, this weapon is an attack percentage weapon that kind of requires a shield. So I wouldn't use it. I don't care about it. I probably never will use it or get it. And the next weapon is the Thundering Pulse. Only question I get about this weapon, and I get this question all the time, is, hey, Seka, how good is the Thundering Pulse in comparison to Rust? The very, very simple answer is the Thundering Pulse on Yoimiya is about 12% better than a Refined 5 Rust, and I think 20-something% better than R1. I got to do the math again. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's like the answers if you're looking for it. If you're looking for between Skyward Harp and Amos Bow, how much better is it? It's significantly better. It is probably somewhere between 18 to like 20% better, somewhere in there, but it is significant. So it's basically like going from a 4 to a 5-star weapon if you go from a Harp or Amos Bow to the Thundering Pulse. And I've never done the math on the Aqua Simulacra, but when I tested the damage between both, it's definitely better. So if you had built Pity already and going for a 5-star, I mean, you could risk it, but I wouldn't. This doesn't really seem the actual time to get the Thundering Pulse. Yoimiya probably will be on a banner in about 6 months or so, and you can maybe go for the Thundering Pulse then. But this weapon banner is pretty shit. The character banner, however, if you're a brand new player, this is a really strong character banner for you because it does have Bennett on it. You may not want to go for the 5-star in particular, but you can use a strategy called Building Pity in order to summon a little bit on the banner, because Pity transfers between banners. You can get the 4-stars that you need on the banner. You can get yourself your Bennett copy that you're going to need if you're brand new starting into Genshin. This is a really smart strategy early on, and if you end up getting an early 5-star or a 5-star that's not Yoimiya and early on, that's the best possible case scenario for you anyways, because then you get into a situation so you get the next character, whatever character you really, really want, guaranteed as losing the 50-50. If you end up getting Yoimiya, she's extremely powerful pyro DPS on par with Hu Tao in a lot of situations, and she's better in certain situations and worse in others. As far as an overall character goes, she's awesome. I've used her for about over a year on free to play, and she has a really, really easy weapon access with the Rust. The Rust is on every single banner, and she's insane. These 2 supports for her are also like some of the best supports in general for her, and you use her on a lot of different teams. So if you're wondering if she's a must summon, absolutely not. If you're wondering if she's a good summon to pick up, sure, she's great. I really like her. She's really good in open world, and if you really like exploring and killing enemies in open world easier, she's one of the best characters in the Genshin for doing that. But that's gonna do it for this video. My name's SekPoko. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, of course, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Peace.